Check the NASDAQ down 718 points. Stay-at-home stocks. The pandemic darlings, not safe from today's tech-led sell-off. In fact, hardly. If you look at DocuSign, Zoom, Peloton, Okta, all of them are getting hammered here, with Peloton down 9.8%. Boy, we remember that was a triple-digit stock. It's at 16 bucks and change right now. And you've got DocuSign down 9.5%. All in the red right now as Americans gear up for summer and plan to spend less time inside at home in the next few months. Let's bring in Nataline Securities Global Fixed Income Head Andrew Brenner, because Andrew, this morning you started putting out some serious notes. And I always read your notes, and they were hitting my inbox saying, hold on, this is a serious move in the bond market right now. What do you glean from the 10-year yield right now?
Liz, what I gleaned from the 10-year yield right now, even though it's off its lows, 310 was the low. Last I looked when I walked in here, it was 305. That's close enough. Liz, what I glean is that people are not happy. The trend followers, the people that make markets move, were not happy with what Powell said yesterday. They didn't like the fact he knocked out the 75 basis points. They didn't like the fact that he said that the neutral rate is between 2 and 3%. In fact, Liz, in just the last few minutes, your old friend Richard Clariter, that you've interviewed numerous times and very well, has come out and said that the neutral rate is going to be at least 100 basis points above what Powell's thinking. So he's thinking more like 3.5. So a lot of people feel that Jay Powell, not only who's been behind the curve for the last 7 or 8 months, he's put himself even more behind the curve. But I believe that Powell honestly believes, even though he refuses to use the word transitory, he really believes that inflation is transitory and it's going to reverse on its own, and that the Fed is going to move very slowly. As Diane Swonk just said, 50 basis points still isn't bad, but the Fed, I think, is really going to stop somewhere around 2.25%, 2.5%. And the people that trade the long end of the markets, both in futures as well as in treasuries, did not like that. And you sent your long bond today up to 320. And, you know, and then the correlation is such. Long rates go up, NASDAQ stocks, which are viewed as long duration assets, go down. And look where we are in the NASDAQ right now, down 5 to 6%, which brought the S&P down and the Dow down along with it. So you've got a lot of problems out there, and we're hearing margin calls are happening as we speak.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back to margin calls. For those of you who don't know, people borrow money to buy stock and to buy certain investments. And then on days like this, they get the call from the person from whom they borrowed it, say, okay, pay up now. So they have to sell, correct? What are you hearing about that?
Well, what I'm seeing, Liz, what I'm hearing is that it's going on. You know, I'm not privy to who it is and probably won't know that until tomorrow. But nonetheless, you can see as to how the markets are reacting, the equity markets that is, that margin calls are happening and people are getting stopped out of positions, you know, at the lows. Now, is this the low? We were hoping to be able to qualify this as a capitulation day today. But, you know, Liz, as I look at the numbers where we're probably going to close, we're no real worse than Monday or maybe Friday. So I wouldn't say the capitulation trade is here yet, but boy, today was a pretty big sell-off.
Yeah, we're seeing a tiny bit of nibbling right now with about 6 minutes left to trade. We have the NASDAQ still down about, well, 700 points. I mean, the lower the session, still about a loss of 757, so not much. There doesn't appear to be a lot of courageousness here. Is Powell going to have to eat his words and hike 75 basis points if we don't see any kind of moderating in inflation?
Liz, I don't think so. I think Powell is, I wouldn't call him a stubborn man. I'd say he's very smart. He's the only Fed governor that I can remember over my history that's actually a businessman, and he understands things. So I would tend to think that he really does believe inflation's going to come down. He's going to be behind the curve, and he might have to move a little bit here and there, but I believe he's going to keep with his 50 basis points and then reevaluate. And I do believe that when the balance sheet starts getting taken off, which will only happen a little bit over the summer, but really kick in September, I think that's going to have a more dramatic effect. So I don't think Powell's going to have to raise. I think Powell's going to raise what he said he's going to raise, which is 50, and I don't see 75 in the cards.
Interesting. Oh, stubborn. I don't know. You know, maybe browbeaten. I don't know. I think Jay Powell has been dealt some really tough cards to deal with. Thank you, Andy Brenner.